heard so much about the Port of Rotterdam and how successful they are with short sea shipping that I want to see for myself how it all works. And how they're able to, bring in these big, huge cargo ships and then move cargo up and down the coast via the smaller ships. I'd love to see that happen in Long Beach. I'd love to see job creation as a result of this process. The shipbuilding piece, really interesting to me as well. And preventing additional trucks from having to use the 710 freeway is huge, because the residents that are located there near the freeway are seriously impacted by the pollution that those trucks cause. Asthma and upper respiratory diseases, very common in residents that live along that corridor there. So if there's a way to move some of that cargo up and down the coast, I think that'd be a lot more effective and beneficial for the local residents as well. So I think this could be a great alternative to that 710 expansion.
I'm talking to Willem Visser with WWW. We are outside Groningen, Holland, and we are looking at a vessel that is about to be launched. Willem, can you explain to us what we're looking at?
This is a vessel that is almost nearly completed. The guys are preparing the vessel so it can have a sideway launching into the canal. If you see the yellow parts, the vessel is now supported by these parts.
Right.
And you see these wedges below the vessel with the orange ropes.
Right.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna take away the yellow poles.
Yes.
So the vessel then will lean on the wedges.
Right.
And with the last blow on a button, they will cut loose the two chains that are around the vessel. And then the vessel will slowly slide into the water and create a humongous wave here.
Okay. How many people are occupied building the ship?
The yard itself employs about 100 people, and with subcontractors and all, I think about 150.
And just a brief breakdown of work skills.
Welders, fitters, pipe laying guys, electricians,
Right.
HVAC, air conditioning, ventilation, painters.
Right.
Of course, that's a big thing.
Crane operator.
On the yard itself, crane operator. There's a lot of diversity in jobs that is needed at the shipyard. Yeah.
Willem, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Stas Margaronis, and we are talking to Isidore Margaronis, a vessel operations consultant based in London. What is an optimum design of a vessel that works for a terminal manager to have an efficient operation?
Well, this will depend on the number of boxes you need to carry, but we've done studies even with very small ships that took 70 boxes, and even there you had quite a large advantage as compared to trucks in terms of fuel costs and overall emissions. If even such a small ship, you reduce your fuel consumption per box to a quarter what it would be for trucking.
Okay. John talked a little bit about open hatch ships. Could you explain what that is and how they're different from ships that have hatches?
Well, in simple terms, an open hatch ship is rather like a bathtub. It's just got a hole in the top and there's nothing to cover it over. You make the sides high enough so that waves don't splash inside. I mean, that's in crude terms, that's what an open hatch ship is.
Izzy, a lot of people are starting to focus on LNG as being the fuel of the future. Obvious concerns with diesel and heavy fuel, of course, that emits a great deal more pollution than just diesel fuel. What are the advantages of LNG, and do you see that as a fuel that will start propelling coastal and short sea ships in the future?
Well, it's already beginning to do that in other countries. There's a number of engines that have been designed by the main diesel engine manufacturers that are dual fuel, that will run both on LNG and diesel. You have actually very large advantages. All your emissions are greatly reduced. You haven't got the issue of sulfur emissions, which is something which is being heavily controlled for diesel vessels now. So to give you some ideas, for the same power requirement. Your carbon dioxide emissions would be down by a quarter. Your nitrous oxides would be a seventh of what they would be with diesel. Hydrocarbon emissions are halved. Particulates are a third. It's a very, very good solution on a purely technical point of view. But you also have other advantages. It's an indigenous fuel. There's lots of LNG in the United States. It's easily available. LNG has been used for very, very many years with very few accidents. The accidents you have are where people are carrying gas bottles and stuff of that sort.
Okay.
It's not an issue that needs to concern anyone. The engines that have been produced are dual fuel, so it's essentially the same engine with some small modifications allowing it to also burn LNG. The fuel will typically be in a container, in a tank container on deck.
Okay.
So you're not going to have a build up of fumes or anything of that sort.
Okay.
It's perfectly safe. Makes refueling very easy. You take the container off and you put another one on. It's used for many other industrial purposes, so it would be very easily available. It would either come by tanker truck, or you would have something like a 20-foot container.
In the United States, a lot of people have argued that going from, say, San Francisco, Oakland to Los Angeles, which is a distance of about 400 nautical miles, could be done by tug barge. What do you think about that?
More or less nobody in the world, other than in America, goes with tug barge combinations. They're not very seaworthy. If the weather's bad, they have to go very, very slowly. They're hard to control. They're not efficient. They haven't got a proper ship shape. It's like pushing a square block through the water. It doesn't work very well. They're much more affected by adverse weather conditions and waves and things like that. With a ship, you can build in a speed margin that allows you to make up for lost time if you do get bad weather or some other sort of delay. So tug barge for me doesn't do it.
What do we do at WWW? For the mechanical part of a vessel, we can do it from a written specification up till something sails away. So we do the diagrams, we can do the classification for the diagrams, purchasing the equipment, we do the engineering 3D, we make the pipes, we deliver pumps, valves, we install it and commission it. We try to put everything in a three-dimensional model, and the big advantage of a three-dimensional model is that if you put all items in, and you can see engine rooms are quite crowded these days. Beforehand, when we are sitting behind our desks, we can see collisions, we can see problems, we can see issues. So we can take a lot of that, not everything, but quite a lot of that away when the guys are building in the vessel. We do bending, we do flat pipe, we'll get back to that. Segment cutting on a big machine, we can cut pipes up to 1.2 meters. We have a machine that can pull out T-pieces instead of welding. Again, we're trying to go down with welding hours as much as possible, because a weld takes time and money. It can leak, and maybe you have to x-ray it. So the less welding, the less issues you got. But the last things, it's always good to have the guy who actually does it. I mean, he knows best. As we said yesterday, the worker should determine that, not management.
These strips, these packages, we position here in our hole and we put them on the floor and we make them all together with all the profiles. As you can see, we make decks of it, or bulkheads, or complete bulkheads, and then we erect it to a section. A section can be a side tank, a double bottom, at deck level in an engine room, all these kinds of things. This is also a very abstract area where you build not bottom up, but top upside down. So when you walk into it, you always have to look from where am I, what is port side, what's starboard side, what's above, what's below. And well, that's what we do in this area.
In terms of a low carbon footprint, is this the kind of thing that we need to be seeing in our port areas in terms of getting the air cleaner?
Absolutely, Stas. If you think about the number of pollution sources that the people of Long Beach are exposed to, so you have the refineries, you have the railroad, you have the 710 freeway, all the cargo ships coming in at the Port of Long Beach. This might be something that helps these pollution burdened areas decrease the pollution in their communities. So I think they're looking at it kind of maybe, at first just a little hesitant, but I think if we keep going back and involving them and sharing what we learned at the Port of Rotterdam these past couple of days, they're going to be on our side.
What we were talking about is short sea shipping and moving trucks by water instead of on the roads.
Right. I'm really feeling positive about the short sea shipping piece, that could alleviate some of the pollution, take some of those, potentially take some of the trucks off the road. I'm really excited to see where we can take this. Stas, I've been thinking about the previous situation in Long Beach. We experienced about 11% unemployment for about 4 years, and it has decreased just a little bit. But a shipbuilding facility would be huge, because then we could tap into the students over at Cal State Long Beach, students at Long Beach City College, those workers that have been displaced from Boeing, right, that are still without jobs. And those individuals, and also the vets that are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, who stay over at Cabrillo villages, trying to find their way back into civilian life.
Right.
And so all of those individuals have the opportunities to potentially be part of this effort. They have skill sets that we might be able to apply over to the shipbuilding complex. We have, we'll need fabricators, welders, designers, engineers, painters, and a host of other employees that will help to put these ships together, and that would have a huge impact on Long Beach and our economic recovery.